All right, everybody, we are advancing to the top 8 now, where we're going to have Papichema taking on Zinc, the one and only Zinc, who has recently won a lot and just been doing pretty well on the tournament scene. So, once again, making it to the top 8. We'll see if he can go ahead and make it to the top 4 now. But before he can do that, he needs to take down Papichema. So, without further ado, top 8 of DOR 16, Papichema versus Zinc. It does look like we are about to get started, so for anybody who's in chat, we're about to see Zinc versus Papichema, Game 1 in the top 8, and it looks like they are queuing up, so let's go ahead and head on into Game 1. And here we go. So we have, again, Zinc with the Lee Sin Zed deck, and Papichema with the TF Swain, the lone TF Swain in Top Cut.
And so I'm looking at this this list out of Zinc. Is still playing the Solari Priestess, a card that not only have we seen cut from a lot of Lee Sin deck mains, but especially in this tournament, there are certain matchups where you like to have that Celestial generation, but people, we've seen it in a couple of side decks along with Behold the Infinites. I know that I think Annie Desu was still running it because he's playing Karma. The extra Celestial generation does come up kind of big for him. I don't know if he was running the Solari Priestess specifically, but it's a card that felt like that was one of the things that got cut that really hurt the Twisted Fate Lee Sin matchup. Falling Comet and Supernova are phenomenal tools against this deck. The one thing that Noxus Bilgewater doesn't have is any form of protection. So that Swain, that Leviathan, they are vulnerable to the removal that you can invoke off of something like that, having a very high percentage point to hit that Falling Comet. But now, like I said, Nopify really does feel like it just kind of swung this back in the favor, but there are no Nopify in Zinc's main.
No, and we've seen a couple decks. I know, so BBG made some questionable decisions earlier when we watched him play using the 3 Deny versus this matchup instead of the Nopify, which was weird. In this case, we do see Zinc playing 2 Deny, and we also have 2 Bastion. So actually, on the low end, as far as things are concerned with Lee Sin, on the low end for protection here, Opting instead has 2 Hushes. I think a lot of times we're seeing 1 Hush now, has a 3rd Sonic Wave instead of 2 Sonic Waves.
I want to talk about things he's got a 3rd of.
And we have 2 Will of Ionia. A lot of times there could be possibly 1 Will of Ionia, so that might have been an option to swap out as well.
I was talking about the 3 Zenith Blade in his hand.
Yeah. So, yep, 3 Zenith Blade, not a good start. So, I always say, hell yeah, you play 3 Zenith Blade. Here's the one reason why you don't play 3 Zenith Blade.
I mean, this isn't bad though.
No, it's not terrible.
You actually get to 5 hit. So here's the play, right? Follow me.
Oh god. I don't
You
know
play Eye of the Dragon.
Yeah, yep.
You Zenith Blade the Zed, you play the Darius emote.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, I forgot to Daybreak my Zenith Blade. And then your opponent actually doesn't get the information that you have 3 Zenith Blade in your hand.
It's funny. I think I've done that on ladder a crap ton whenever I play Lee Sin. I'm like, when I actually want to play one of the Zenith Blades. So I'm like, okay, I can't play this first so they don't know I have the other 2 in my hand, because that's terrible. It gives away so much information. And it looks like that's what Zinc is going to do. We are going to do the Eye of the Dragon first, followed by the Zenith Blade. Now, the question is...
Oh, this, that doesn't... Oh, okay.
Do we...
I honestly thought that damage would get buffed by the keg.
Oh, no, because it's not like a thing that goes in the stack. It just happens when it's played. So, wait, did we see an emote? I was going to say, the question is, do we see the emote? And there's no emote. Which...
No, because this is high-level tournament
That doesn't sell the bluff.
Muted.
Okay, so that's what Blevin said in chat. But I don't think I think at high-level tournament play, you actually don't mute the emotes because it's that much more
you
fun.
absolutely do. I don't care what... I mean... Swim likes to play the emote in mind games. Like, I don't care about your sad Poro. I don't care about your little calculating Heimerdinger. I care about you not getting to play your meta. You just show me in a railing soul. I don't care. I don't see it. It doesn't mean anything to me. You have won no mental victories here.
Well, in the meantime, we have a 4/4 Zed going to go in with Overwhelm. So this is going to go ahead and level the Zed, still dealing that Overwhelm damage. And that means next time the Zed attacks, this is going to be a big Zed.
I am pretty surprised that there was no spell that Papichema could play in response, especially knowing that there's no Nopifies coming out of Zinc. So there was no Noxian Fervor. Even if you had a Death's Hand or a Make It Rain, you still would have liked to throw that down onto the Eye of the Dragon. So, yeah, a little unfortunate for Papichema. Just doesn't seem to have the answers. Could be loaded up on a lot of high drops. And, Riptide Rex is one of the big difference makers in a matchup like this. Yep. It does have a pretty good chance of killing everything your opponent has. But if you draw all of them, it doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, and so I'm just going through in my mind, too, like, kind of what does Papichema have that could, theoretically get rid of this Zed, because that is kind of what we need to get rid of, although, now there is a Lee Sin too, and this is looking really good for Zinc, first off. But, something like a Make It Rain into a Ravenous Flock could also remove the Eye of the Dragon, so it seems like a pretty good deal there. Problem is we also have Bastion. So no matter what Papichema really has here early on, I don't think Papichema can come back from this. You're at a point where you have so much momentum and so much tempo over your opponent, already having not just a Lee Sin with Overwhelm, but a Zed with Overwhelm. And not just that, the Zed is already level 2. This is insane for Zinc this early on in the game.
That's why you play 3 Zenith Blade. Look at this triple Zenith Blade opener doing all the work.
It's the best! Who would have known that having all 3 in the first hand is actually the OP 10-headed play?
I feel like there are actually a lot of times where we see someone and we're like, wow, this is a really awkward or really bad opening hand, and then they actually pull it out. I'm thinking of, it was probably a couple weeks ago, Orbmeister opening like double Harrowing, double Ruination in his Anivia deck, and then eventually having, being able to survive and having it all come up a little bit later on. But yeah, I don't think you get through this one, especially because we know that Papichema didn't have any spells just a couple of turns ago, has drawn a couple of cards since then, had the salvage on the turn. We're even just going to give this to the Eye of the Dragon. She can have Overwhelm as well, but no, it's going to be a Bastion to start things off on this Lee Sin.
No, it's on the Zed. The Bastion's on the Zed. We're just going all in on Zed.
I meant to give him Challenger.
Okay. Wow, look at this field. Can we just look at this? Look at this. This is insane. You're gonna have 4. All right, the Lee Sin's not leveled up. All right, so what is that? 4, 8, 9, 10. That's 11 damage. This would be 12. If we play the Bastion. Why not? Why not? Just give everything Spell Shield. Who cares? We have all 3 Bastions and all 3 Zenith Blades. I guess in a perfect bubble, 3 Bastion, 3 Zenith Blade, a Zed, and a Lee Sin. Those are the only 8 cards you ever need to win any game. Like, why do you need anything else?
I'm trying to think of what a Riptide even looks like into this board. That's generally how you're going to get through these these Spell Shielded up champions, but there's a pretty good chance that Riptide doesn't, like, you can't even kill your opponent if Riptide super high rolls.
No. And that's the thing. You have a high chance of not killing the Zed or the Lee Sin. I think this is... Okay, that's not Riptide. That is not Riptide. Can we level this Swain somehow? And I think the answer is no. I think that's going to be game. Wait, how many... Okay, well, actually...
I mean, there's a Will of Ionia even if we level level the Swain. So yeah, this one should be all but wrapped up. Let's take a look at these side decks, SJW.
So, anyways,
figure out if things get any better for Papichema in game number 2.
Oh my God, it's so funny how the 3 Zenith Blades and they seem so terrible, but actually ended up doing work. And I think listen, if anything, this just proves that I'm 100% right about always playing 3 Zenith Blade and not playing 2.
I see you're taking a page out of my book.
Oh, yeah. 100% all the time. We saw one game. It happened. It worked out. It means it's always true. 100% of the time.
I think I did that to Nola, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's the... I think we were watching Anivia versus Lee Sin, and I was like, I haven't seen this matchup before, so I'm willing to stake all of my knowledge on this. However this game goes, it's 100% favored that way. Yeah, that Will of Ionia. Really effective against this Twisted Fate Swain. And, I mean, this side deck format does not feel like it favors the TF Swain. There's a lot of very useful tools that the Lee Sin does get against it. And that was a pretty decisive game number 1 with a triple Zenith Blade opening and without Nopify in the main deck.
So, yeah, this is interesting. Somebody put... This is Zinc put the sideboard on out of cards.
I thought this was Porofessor.
No, it's out of cards.
So he does side Nopify. Probably going to put that in since it denies every spell in the deck.
Well, we said that originally, but BBG excuse me, BBG didn't agree. So we'll see.
BBG lost in top 16. So.
All right, that's good. Fair point. Yeah, we have Nopify. We have 2 of Nopify. Just to run through this so everybody else knows too. There is another Will of Ionia. We might see, yep, looks like we are putting 3 Will in. And another Bastion. 3 Tasty Fey Folk, obviously, for those aggro matchups. 3 Diana. So actually is going the route of we can swap this into a Diana deck if needed. Maybe just in case we really saw a ton of aggro today, which we didn't. It's gone.
Well, it's not gone. Sujikon and Black Boss are still in the tournament.
Okay, so now, that's actually a good point. How good does Diana do versus something like those Demacia aggro decks that we're seeing?
They are a lot higher in health. You know, everything pretty much going to have 3 HP, or at least everything that you care about killing. So, you know, the Misfortune, the Stony Silencer, or Stony Suppressor. I think his name's Stony Suppressor. And yeah, Stony Suppressor just does a lot of work in the Lee Sin matchup, and the Diana doesn't actually help you kill it unless you get it down alongside a Mentor of Stones, or if you have the mana to play that 3-mana Pale Cascade, which, you have to play it in the same turn that you already Nightfall the Diana, and he does only have 1 of that Duskbringer in the side deck, and even if he did, that Dusk Battle Dust would cost 2 mana.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, we've seen Stony Suppressor do a lot of work. When it has actually hit the field, we're seeing people not really prioritize removing it, which might be a mistake, because those gems, let me tell you, a 2-mana gem does not seem like it's good at all. It makes you regret playing gems. So, yeah, that's an issue.
Meanwhile, as far as the side deck that we do get out of Papichema, I mean, Hired Gun, giving the Lee Sin vulnerable is okay in some matchups, but because you have so many 2/2s, you're not really actually threatening this Lee Sin. Most of the time, House Spider wasn't in the main, is in the side. Maybe you just try to go full aggro on your opponent. You do put that one in as well. Captain Farron, maybe a little bit too late game for a matchup like this. The Riptide Rex is the 8-drop that you want to be seeing. And then, yeah, even these spells not feeling great. Death Lotus, Calling Strike, and Scorched Earth is what we round out the side deck with. And none of those feel super amazing. Calling Strike has a lot of juicy-looking targets, but I feel like more often than not, it doesn't actually end up working out, especially with Mentor of Stones.
Do you ever side Death Lotus specifically to pop spell shields?
It's a consideration. I don't know. Like, I don't think I would put it in. Like, it's definitely not going into my side deck for that reason, right? It's going in to be an anti-aggro tool, especially with the keg. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's not something that I've put a whole lot of thought into.
So,
and maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm trying to think of what you would want to take out for something like that.
Well, I mentioned it too because, like, we see a Mentor of the Stones on the field. It also takes care of Mentor of the Stones, which proactively removing it so it doesn't get that 2/2 is obviously, it's always good.
Death Lotus only works in combat.
Oh, gee. Well, that goes to show you how often the card's played. I forgot about that. Oh, never mind. So it would actually have to be blocking if that's the case, and in which case it wouldn't even matter. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it feels good, especially because last game we saw 3 spell shields. So it's like, oh, hey, Death Lotus seems okay. But I think that's a very niche scenario that we're not going to see a lot of the time. And this feels amazing. Wow, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was that juicy looking Lee Sin we were talking about, but that trick probably doesn't work twice, as now the Nopify will be online, and there were only 2 Culling Strike in the side, so even if he has the second copy, it can just walk itself into this Nopify. But Papichema, keeping his foot on the gas, has a couple of 2/2s, already has Zinc down to 12 HP, could go for a 4 damage open attack, but I do think that you want to develop a little bit more, especially if you have something like a House Spider or a Petty Officer, just continue to go a little bit wide. There is the Swain, and that is going to meet Mr. Lee Sin.
Yeah, now that Papichema is below that 3 mana for Calling Strike, feels pretty safe to play the Lee Sin here. And honestly, Zinc not that sad about losing that first Lee Sin, because we have everything we need in hand to not only buff up the Lee Sin, get him leveled up, and get him with an Overwhelm stat. We got Bastion, and we got Nopify, and now we definitely have enough spells to get him. We can level up Lee Sin this turn, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we're 2 off. So we're pretty damn close, though.
That was a little sketchy out of Zinc, but only a little bit. It's really double Ravenous Flock was the only punish there because you did still have the Nopify mana, which also would have stopped to make it rain. So we are going to start off the turn just triple gemming this Lee Sin up out of range of some kind of executability, because there are Scorched Earths in the side. We had sort of questioned how valuable that is against the Lee Sin, but it is a clean way to remove it. Maybe you do just put it in.
Yeah, and thank you, Somnus in chat, for bringing this up. Why do we play Krusty Codger Boulevard?
Because it deals 2 damage for the Swain.
Yes, and in the Demacia decks, because we brought that up with Sudricon and them playing Demacia decks.
Oh yeah, that's relevant because of
Cithria and
stuff,
Genevieve.
but, yeah,
I love the card. I'm not going back on it. I love this 1 mana 2/2. It's amazing.
I hate 1-drops.
Why? What did they ever do to you?
They don't scale. Like they're like Dreadway Deckhand, that's a card that like I could play on turn 7 and find some kind of value because the keg just does that. I like cards that, you know, sort of do things at all stages of the game, and there's really not a lot of 1-drops that do that.
Yep.
And that's just like a me personally thing. That's why I never get to play scouts. Like I don't want to run 9 1-drops. That is not the kind of person that I am.
So actually, to your point, I mean that's probably why Krusty Codger is that good. I mean, if you're getting this on like turn 8 and you need 2 damage to level up Swain. Well, what do you know? We got this 1 mana 2/2 that levels up my Swain.
I'm trying to think of any situation where it's turn 8 and you're like, yes, Krusty Codger. Throw that down.
That's the situation.
Riptide Rex, who needs it? I mean, Riptide Rex deals 14. That's a whole Swain level.
All right. Well, if you have Riptide, obviously it's a better option, but I'm just saying.
But sometimes you don't.
Sometimes it's not there. And Moonglow. Wow, okay, even has another. So now we have 2 spell shields.
I mean, 2 spell shields doesn't mean a lot. Generally, you're getting rid of all of it in the same stack. It does work out if your opponent is trying to string together, you know, sort of an execute onto the Lee Sin. Salvage to start the turn is not a good look.
Well, all we need now is 1 more attack buff. If we have an attack buff, then we're able to get Lee Sin +1 attack and get the combo off. And it looks like Zinc is just all in on this combo. He's going, all right, here's the Zenith Blade. We're at 7. We have the Sonic Wave in hand to give 2 more. There it is. There it is.
This is the point where I feel I should bring up that Papichema does not main or side deck Noxian Fervor.
Yeah, no, it's just we have
because that's about to get real relevant.
Yeah. Yep, and
which I guess at that point you do need the Krusty Codger because, you know, Noxian Fervor, as awkward as it does feel, it's generally only a 2 of. That is half a Swain level up.
Yeah. We'll see what Papichema decides to do here, though, because this is rough. I mean, yeah, sure, great. Lee Sin has vulnerable. You might be able to go ahead and start to do a little bit of damage to it. This
is representing lethal.
Okay, this is good. And
Spacey Sketcher does stop this, though. I think it puts us at 2. But that 2 damage is actually sort of a bigger task for Papichema to get through than, you know, other Twisted Fate Swain decks. And Leviathan won't do it because you're not living through the next turn.
Yeah, okay, so we are living by 2. I'm actually curious as to why he didn't pick Messenger. I would figure that you want more draw, but valuing it looks like the Challenger on the next turn to possibly get rid of the elusive unit.
Yeah, I mean, you are down to 2. That is something that you can't currently answer. Or maybe just, I mean, there's nothing that Poppy could have played for 0 mana to pass the priority back to you, so it's not like you were getting an extra blocker and holding onto your spell mana, but this should just be the end of the game.
Yeah, I do think that this Lee Sin attack will be enough. Now, are we just playing the Bastion? I mean,
no, you're at 10 attack thanks to the level up, but
oh, that's right.
I mean, there are answers that your opponent can have. Double Execute, double Scorched Earth here does do it. You can't put the spell shield back on the stack in that case.
Well, there's one main deck.
We didn't challenge a unit. We didn't challenge a unit with the Lee Sin.
Wait, what?
Don't.
What? Did he just forget to?
Zinc forgot to win the game.
Forget to win. Zinc. What are you? Zinc. Oh
so
God.
I actually.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Oh God. Zinc. Oh God. Zinc's not gonna live this one down.
He might not lose the game though. Like still, I'm pretty sure, like Leviathan's lethal.
Oh my God.
That was something, man.
Oh.
That is.
We just witnessed a player literally forget to basically click the win button.
It was a long day. This is round 4.
If he does lose, Christ, what a throw! Oh my God! Listen, I love you, Zinc, but wow,
I like that he remembered to do everything that wasn't challenged with the Lee Sin. Like, oh, here's how to, I'll throw my guys out there just in case for some reason, you live this turn, and then also let him live the turn.
He probably feels even worse because he knows he's being streamed. He's like, all the people watching this cast just witnessed me completely not challenge a unit.
In his chat, he just said, "Please unsee what I just did." Oh, he is still pretty favored going into this one. So he should be able to pick up game number 3, but that is a tilter.
No, guys, it was a 10-headed play. You see, he thought that there was a Scorched Earth, and this way his opponent could live, so his opponent didn't play the Scorched Earth. That was what I
Zinc really likes playing Legends of Runeterra and said, Top Cut's really fun. I want to play as much Top Cut as possible. Let's go to game 3.
Oh, Jesus. This
does have a pretty solid opener here, though.
That feels so bad.
Gonna mulligan a few of this way. Would like to find Zed or Lee Sin, but, not the worst hand that you could possibly have, sans it. Yeah, I like tossing everything. You're really just kind of looking for
Lee Sin.
Yeah, and not finding it.
Lee Sin. Do you ever really look for anything other than Lee Sin in this deck? Like,
I mean, it's not about what you're looking for. It's about what you find. And he's found some trash. Yeah.
Garbage is indeed what this hand looks like in game 3, which is not good considering the throw that we just witnessed. And no champs, no units, no nothing. Unless we top deck something like a Zed or a Lee Sin, this is looking like that game just threw the entire thing. And man, Zenith Blade just loves showing up in Zinc's hand.
What is with you and Zenith Blade?
Oh, man. No, wait. Black Boss? All right, well, unless this is Smash GG doing Smash GG things, Black Boss is showing up as a DQ versus BBG.
That's probably because I don't think they ever started their top 16 match in Smash, so it might have timed out and BBG checked in or something, so it DQ'd him. But I mean, we do know that BBG turned off his stream, which probably means that he lost. We got chat confirmation that he lost, but for the game at hand, Papichema opening very aggressively, in Zinc, while he wanted to say, let's see what game 3 looks like, the answer is not very good. Doesn't even find the written in stars, even if it hit a Zed, that it'd at least be something to hold on to, and the Zenith Blade would let you pillar on it pretty effectively. But the Comet, not a bad hit. The problem is that Papichema, the way that he's been playing this matchup, means that he's going to try to out-aggro you, and this Comet is not going to get value onto any of these lower-cost units. It does help with the Swain, though, which you don't have a great answer for at the moment. Okay, we're just going in with this one. We're going to get the draw value off the Pale Cascade trade onto this unit. And it looks like Papichema going to remember that Pale Cascade exists and pull back that blocker.
Wow. So at least we are getting the Solari Priestess, and we got the Comet. So there's ways for Zinc to kind of stall out this game. Okay, there it is. Turn 4. As
right on time.
As Zinc planned it to be, we have the Lee Sin on turn 4. What I was going to say, though, with the Comet is at least if something like a Swain or a Leviathan comes down early, with how bad Zinc's hand was to start, at least we can get rid of it early as well with this Comet, so that is good. But I think we're not as worried now that we do see the Lee Sin, not only 1, but 2 Lee Sins in hand. The cards are now very much on Zinc's side.
Do you know what I'm excited to see?
Oh, God, what?
How carefully Zinc lines up Lee Sin challenges for the rest of this series.
For the rest of his life is more like it. For the rest of 2 years from now, Zinc's gonna be in the finals of some tournament, and it's gonna be like an easy win with a Lee Sin, and he's gonna take all the entire turn and rope the entire turn just to make sure he challenges the right unit. Oh man! But we see a Zed, so all these units are just coming. They're on point now. This is really good. This is really, really good for Zinc at this point in the game now that we are seeing these units. And we don't see a lot on the side of Papichema either. We do see a Death's Hand, though, so we'll see if this does get the Bastion. Looks like it is. And this is textbook, right? I mean, one of the reasons why Zed has seemingly been good was it gets rid of a lot of the removal tools before Lee Sin comes down. So, yeah, sure, great. Papichema gets rid of the Zed, or we do some damage to the Zed and maybe get rid of it on the next turn. But now you just utilize 3 resources. Yep, there's another Make It Rain. And you still have to deal with Lee Sin.
Make It Rain was actually probably the best follow-up there as well, because I actually do like waiting for the attack because it does give you one extra tick towards the Swain level up. Something like a Flock would have sucked a little bit. You still would have eaten 4 damage, but now we should be pretty clear to get this Lee Sin down and start to proactively win the game with it. But Lee isn't gonna be game ending anytime soon. We don't have any mentors. We don't have gems. We just have these Zenith Blades, and it's actually gonna take a while for this Lee Sin to get up to the attack point that he needs. Not to say it's not gonna happen or that he can't try to slow roll this one. You don't always have to one-shot your opponent. You can go for multiple Lee Sin kicks, which with 3 Will of Ionia and a Comet, it's not like Papichema sticking a Swain Leviathan anytime soon.
I got to agree with you there. So we'll see. We'll see what comes up next. It is going to be the Calling Strike, and this seems to have done pretty well for Papichema, but this Resonating Strike will put the Lee Sin above the 3 attack. Not going to get killed by the Calling Strike, and even has the Barrier, so Barrier not going to do anything with both players tapped out now, so really no use for it, but does still save the Lee Sin, and that is going to shuffle another copy into the deck, too. So we still have 2 Lee Sins in deck. We have the 2 Zenith Blades in hand. It looks like Zinc can eventually set up for this Lee Sin combo, but like I mentioned earlier, Written in the Stars is really good to pull another Lee Sin, too.
Wow. And he just tossed away his second Lee Sin to save the first, which makes sense. It was the mana-efficient way to play it, as well as you get 2 spells into the Lee Sin pool. But if there is a second Calling Strike out of Papichema, you're out of Lee Sins.
Yeah, there's the gold card. So this is going to at least get some damage onto the Lee Sin. So now it's back in range of...
There's actually no protection for this Lee Sin. This is a really bad spot for Zinc.
Yeah, Pale Cascade isn't going to do much. Yeah. Oh, gets the Zed. Not sure if that's better. I'm going to feel like...
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not better than Lee Sin, especially because yours is in danger this turn.
And, there's the Bastion. Okay, that is very good.
Feeling a little bit better.
We need some gems, man. We need some gems. We got to heal this Lee Sin back up.
Here's the problem. This is a Riptide Rex turn.
Yeah.
And you just took some damage. Riptide is... trying to figure out if it's lethal. Lee Sin will eat 4 shots. Not quite lethal.
Yep. Oh, that's not good. Zinc.
Yep, that is sort of the big tool that TF Swain has in this matchup, though. Yeah, you're going to live at 1.
Oh, Zinc. Zinc, I think, threw the entire match with that game. I think that's what we're about to witness. That feels so bad. Oh, Zinc, what are you doing? What are you doing? We have a Zed. Not sure if this is going to be quite enough here with the Zed. I mean, we are going to get overwhelmed. Maybe we see another, 20 attack Zed come through. I mean, we are going to get probably another Zenith Blade. But it's looking rough. Maybe,
I mean, even if you do, without the double Will of Ionia and without the... I mean, yeah, the problem is that trick only worked because you had 2 challengers as well. We are going to get blocked out here. Our Shadow still doesn't have the Overwhelm.
Well, we'll see what Salvage gets for any responses. And even with the buff for the Mentor of the Stones, it's going to be an 8/8. Yeah, it's still not quite going to be enough. We do have the Bastion as well to put the Spell Shield on it. We'll see if he plays it beforehand. I think at this point he needs to really... I don't know. I was going to say maybe he wants to play it in response to a spell, but either way, not going to be great. The Clone not getting the Overwhelm as well, so that is only going to be 1 strike with the Zed. Unfortunately, not going to level up for a potential next turn attack. And no Lee Sin still in hand. Oh, all right, so we do have the Comet for the Leviathan. This is big. So we do survive.
You need to Will... So now you're already pre-committing to the next turn. Mm-hmm. Zinc's only going to have 5 mana to play with because you have to Will of Ionia that zaps Brayfin. And you then have to block this Riptide Rex with your Zed. It will survive that interaction, but you're on thin ice.
You have healing. Now you don't have to do that. But I feel like you still don't want to take that damage because you're in range of a lot of different things.
It is really scary, though, to give your opponent back a unit that draws a card, especially when you're this low. There is still 1 Make It Rain in the deck. There is Death's Hand, things like that, and your Lee Sin is going down to 1 HP. So even if you're not dying, there is the potential that you're going to lose the Zed, and that is all you have at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. I really feel like the Guiding Touch makes more sense because at the end of the day, even though you're saving 2 damage with the Zap Sprayfin, you're just giving them more. You're giving them way more options by returning it to hand. So I got to go with this. I mean, because otherwise I think you just lose the game anyways. I don't think you play around it. But it looks like...
You're definitely in a rough spot regardless. But and any spell that the Zap draws is threatening the Lee Sin. Yeah, there is the second Riptide Rex, though, and that is going to be Zinc Elemental. Falling out of this tournament in the top 8, Papichema going to take out the previous Duels of Runeterra winner and move on to the top 4.
Wow. I cannot believe the throw that we witnessed by Zinc. That was pretty bad, Zinc. I'm not going to lie. It's unfortunate.
It's always really interesting to see those kinds of plays, though, because that's not something that happens in a physical card game. Mm-hmm. Like, you can, maybe like you drop a card on the table in Yu-Gi-Oh! And your opponent says, oh, you played it. You don't really get that in mana-based games anyway because they didn't tap the mana for it. Like, obviously there are things that you can misspeak on, but, like, misclicks don't happen in physical card games.
Yeah, no, they don't, because you have to physically say, like, all right, I end my turn or something like that. And obviously, I don't think you can actually get yourself to say that you're ending your turn without remembering to be like, hey, I'm going to challenge that unit. So... Oh, sorry to see that, Zinc. So sorry to see that. Unfortunately, Zinc getting taken down there. So we're going to go over the brackets quick, see if we can get a quick update on where everybody is at currently. And it looks like Zaramis is still waiting for his opponent to finish. I think Guardia and Stolen Conch are still playing. They're going on. The timer says 75 minutes. So I think we got a little bit of a wait until we actually start that game. I think that is going to be the next game that we're going to do, though.
Oh, Sudrakhan is streaming, though. He did turn on his stream for us, so he is playing against Storm if we want to hop into that one.
Let's do it. We'll do Sudrakhan until Zaramis starts, because I do want to get a full game for... oh, no, that was a quarterfinal. We just did Zinc, and that was also a quarterfinal. Yeah, we just did
top 8. This is another top 8. Zaramis waiting on his top 8 opponent.
Never mind. We can do all the games in the world. So let's go ahead. We will get Sudrakhan up. Haven't seen Sudrakhan honestly play in a while. So this should be pretty nice to see, a little treat here. Let's go ahead and get this game up. I'm gonna remember that Zinc throw for a while. Not to rub it in or anything, but that was
not to rub it in or anything. Let me just rub it in real quick.
I'm just gonna rub it in real quick. I'm gonna clip it. Does somebody clip it?
Please don't clip it. I mean, you can clip it, but like.
Listen, I don't know about you, but in with me personally anyways, when people rub in my mistakes, I make sure I don't screw it up again. Like, I that helps me learn personally. That's like really harsh constructive criticism, I guess, but
it's not even like, because like, as soon as it happens, there's nothing to learn from that.
Yeah, I guess. So
I'm pulling up, I don't know if this is game 1 or 2, so I'm just kind of pulling up the players' side decks to see if there's anything, sort of interesting. Actually, hold on. Okay, there are hired guns in the main for Sudrakhan, so it's not like that was a card that was put in the side. Why can't I find Storm again? I already got lost because I couldn't find Sudrakhan because he doesn't have IQ next to his name.
God, I gotta say, Lovin, I feel like last time we did Sudrakhan, his resolution was not this good. This looks so beautiful.
Look, you win enough tournaments, you upgrade your PC.
Oh, man. All right.
Okay, so this is kind of what I expected. This Twisted Fate Gangplank does side into Swains and Leviathans.
Now, do we know the match score of this?
How on earth would we know that?
Well, if Smash GG actually tracked things properly. I think this might still be game 1, maybe. Either that or game 2 just started and they didn't put in the results for game 1. So it's one or the other. But we'll see. And we haven't seen Sudrakhan the whole tournament, so I definitely want to stay here and see the conclusion of this particular match. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get the score updated for everybody here.
So doing a good job so far of maintaining the board and the pressure on the life total, not going in with the misfortune, saying, you know what, it's only at 1 HP, but that does mean that you still have to recommit something to it, even if it is just, a Twisted Fate on the following turn. That's not really something that I'm expecting you to have. And pretty big top deck here in that Genevieve, just on time for the turn 6 when he will have the attack token. Yeah, there's Twisted Fate number 2. That was sort of the biggest punish for not attacking with the misfortune, but it's not like it's the end of the world. You do still... get a fair amount of value. We are going to see now. Sudrakhan just going to go totally wide and sort of hope that there's no Make It Rain. It would be a little wild if there was both of those.
Yeah, and Hired Gun looks like it is going to go ahead and come down on Twisted Fate. So it feels good being able to get rid of that Twisted Fate. And Twisted Fate coming in for the attack, though. So it could just end up getting blocked out by the hired gun regardless.
Yeah, and that's why you started off with the hired gun over any of these Fleet Feather trackers.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like, I mean, we could see a pretty wide turn next turn. If we go like another Fleet Feather tracker, we could go into a Genevieve, just open up with a Genevieve, which means I don't think Storm really has any good responses to deal with that wide of a board.
No, especially with 2 Twisted Fates down, and I think the reason that Sujikon didn't take the block is because Storm holding back the attack until there was a 1 health unit really telegraphs a Make It Rain, whereas previously that's not a card that would have gotten a lot of value. If he had one, I think it wouldn't have been unreasonable for him to throw it out there because turn 6 is where the Genevieve comes down and puts everything out of range. You get actually a lot of damage pushed on the Scout attack because you still have this Island Navigator as well.
So there is a Noxian Guillotine. So the best case scenario would have been like a Make It Rain into 2 Noxian Guillotine there, but instead just going to summon what's basically just a blocker in the Gangplank. But to add insult to injury, we're going to get a Scout attack before anything else happens, which means this Genevieve is... You want to talk about a value Genevieve. Oh my god. This is... If there's no response by Storm to kill this Genevieve... We're killing a TF and a Gangplank with 1 Genevieve.
And there is the Make It Rain, and that is about as a low roll as you could have gotten. Literally misses everything that it would kill. That is absolutely dreadful for Storm.
Wow. And that's... I don't think you come back from that.
Lethal.
Yeah, that's game. You don't come back from that. That's bad.
That goes at the front of the Make It Rain highlight because all you needed was 1 extra.
Oh yeah.
If any single bullet went right, and oh man, I cannot express how bad that was.
Yeah, you've been talking about making this Make It Rain, fail compilation, and I gotta agree, that's definitely up there. That was bad. That was absolutely the worst roll you can get, and there was a lot of targets there for that Make It Rain.
That was such a casually bad Make It Rain.
Yeah, casually bad.
Because it wasn't like there are a lot of moments where we know the Make It Rain is there and we're like, okay, how does this line up? That one just came out of like we thought it might be there and it just kind of came out and then missed everything.
So it looks like we are going into the side deck phase. So I imagine that was game 1. I didn't catch the score on the screen real quick. So I think Sujikon is going to be up 1-0. We'll double check once they go to queue up again in just a minute. But let's take a look at some of these side decks. Especially, I'm curious to see what Sujikon has in here. It looks like on the side of Sujikon, we have 3 Quinn. So we do have the ability to go further into that Scout pool. Another Genevieve, another Cythria, a Laurent Protege, and then there is those 3 Stony Suppressors, which honestly... I mean, TF Swain, you wouldn't normally side that in, but this isn't TF Swain. This is Nab, and there are a lot of spells in Nab.
I feel like I would side it in against TF Swain. There's a lot of spells in that deck as well. I mean, even just 2-mana Ravenous Flux or something that really upset play patterns. And it's not like you're putting in anything. I don't think maybe Sharpsight comes in. I don't think Riposte necessarily comes in. And I think it's really just, if I'm siding in my spells, maybe I don't put in the Suppressor. If I'm not, I might as well put it in because I play so few spells myself. It is just the Rangers Resolve, the Sharpsight, and the Relentless Pursuit, the same spell lineup that we saw at a boss.
Yeah, and he main decks 1 Sharpsight, or sorry, 2 Sharpsight, and then side decks 1. So it looks like we did opt to side deck in the Sharpsight, so no Stony Suppressors being put in, it looks like. And
I'm curious to see what is actually going to be side decked by Storm here. It's a lot of one-ofs in his side deck, so you're really only turning into like half a TF Swain deck. But TF Swain, Scouts is still a deck that it had trouble dealing with. I don't know that the Swain and the Leviathans add as much as you really want them to, especially, is it better than a Gangplank?
I don't know. In this matchup in particular, I'm not... that's tough. Because Gangplank is a bigger body at that 5 health, but Genevieve at the end of the day still has 5 attack. And Cythria is still a 6/6. So Swain doesn't make a difference in either scenario. I guess Swain makes a difference in that he has the 6 health versus something like a Genevieve, and he'll trade a little bit better with it. But he still doesn't trade 1-for-1 with it because he still does 3 damage as opposed to her newly nerfed health at 4 health. So I don't really think that's a change that you consider making. Maybe... Do you just go super... No, you can never out-aggro this deck.
No, and the other consideration is that if you are putting in the Swains, you're also putting in Leviathans, and that means you're putting in more 8 drops against an aggro deck. Sure, maybe you drop down on a Farron, maybe you drop down on a Riptide, but with the Warning Shot, Merchant, and Grifter all in the main deck, it does feel a little bit weird to try and take some of this stuff out.
Yeah, it would have to. I think that we were talking about this before the tournament, like on day one, where we were kind of saying, all right, what regions can you completely swap decks out? And this was one of them, where you could go Noxus Nab into TF Swain. And I don't know, like, I think if he uses any of these side deck cards, it just has to be a complete switch. It just has to switch from, all right, we're playing Noxus Nab, now we're playing TF Swain. Will this work out better?
Well, he does already main deck, what is this, 2, 5, 6, 7? He only main decks 7 Noxus cards, so the Yordle Grifter is just a little bit more likely to miss than they usually would. But yeah, most of his side deck is Noxus. I think everything except Jack the Winner and Dreadway Deckhand. Oh, he's actually only maining 1 Deckhand, so I guess you put a few more of those in. He's not maining any Deckhand, so the 2 on the side probably come in here. You know, buffing up those removal spells is going to do a lot of work, but the Stony Silencer is going to be an issue. Stony Silencer. Oh, it looks like they just confirmed it. I would assume he is. So we've got Black Boss versus Green Sears on the other side of the bracket. So all 3 Team IQ members making it into the top 8 so far. Because you have the Rangers resolve, you could try and sort of slow roll the early game, get down that Rangers, but you're so many turns off of it happening, and you generally want to save that to protect yourself from things like removal. Are you muted?
Yep, sorry about that. I had literally I'm unmuted now, but I literally had like an army of motorcycles. I'm not kidding. I can't make this up. Just drive by my house, and it literally lasted for 10 minutes. There must have been at least like 300 motorcycles. I have no idea what it was for.
It's for the October 18th parade.
Yeah, that one. So, oh man. So I didn't want you guys to have to deal with that, but it's over now. So yeah, I do like the way that this ended up playing out though, because he opted to go for that trade. We're able to curve very nicely into Cythria and then Misfortune, and now you still have, because you didn't, opt to hold back that Cythria of Cloudfield, you have that 1 mana on reserve here instead of curving out into the Lucian on turn 2. So we'll see if we're able to get some good trades with this resolve.
Looks like he was really contemplating not only if he wants to kill the keg, but where to put it. Mm-hmm. And we are going to get the Rangers resolve now to deny the Make It Rain.
Yeah, and listen, both versions, Black Boss's version and Sudrakon's version, playing 3 Rangers resolve. And since this card has come out, I have always said how I think it's ridiculous how much value a 1 mana burst speed spell can get. It has fallen off a lot, but mainly because Demacia has fallen off a lot, not necessarily because the card is not good. And, I mean, you can see it right there. That was a pretty crucial deny, so to speak, with that card, being able to save both units from taking extra damage. The Misfortune technically would have lived, but being at 1 health would have left it vulnerable to another Make It Rain.
And I just want to point out, Sudrakon actually did not end up side decking in those Stony Suppressors.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Because it looks like he actually sided in 1 additional Sharp Sight. So he siding in more spells, I would imagine he's not going to go ahead and side in those Stony Suppressors, So, does make sense. I can't really make out from his deck what else he side deck. It looked like, was he only main decking 2 Cythria?
Yeah, it was a 3rd Cythria, a 3rd Laurent Protege. It's just a lot of like 3rd copies of things. Yep. The Cythria of Cloudfield is an addition from the side deck as well, and a 3rd copy of Sharp Sight.
Okay, yeah. And Sharp Sight. Sharp Sight, the elusive thing actually didn't even matter versus the elusive deck that did show up. So it's just so funny to me that it's literally just 2 mana, 2/2. Like, that's what it is. at burst speed.
That's not bad.
No, it's not at all.
I mean, we saw +4/+4 for 4 have to get nerfed. So
yeah, yep, exactly. So, but maybe Sharp Sight being in existence makes Pale Cascade a little bit more balanced. I don't know, just because of the additional health.
I will trade an additional health for a draw.
Yeah, me too. Even with health being more valuable, we've discussed this in the past, than attack, generally speaking. Yeah, I agree. I think that the draw replacing itself is always really good. But for the time being, we have this Misfortune effect going on the stack with this attack. We are going to get the Culling Strike onto the Lucian, and there's nothing that Sujukhan can do about this, so we are just going to lose the Lucian. We are going to get a decent trade into the 3/3 Jagged Butcher here, and Sujukhan, unfortunately, we are going into a pretty good turn 6 and turn 7 conceivably, but no units to summon this turn, which is really what we would have wanted. There is still the potential, though, to utilize this Relentless Pursuit with the Genevieve and the Cytherea in hand. So I'd be looking to see some sort of finishing turn coming out soon from Sujukhan.
9 damage is a lot to take, though.
What?
Oh, still a Protege, but the Genevieve actually does keep us out of the range of it, as well as provide an additional blockers. So, I mean, unless Storm has that last finishing blow for the Misfortune, which I would imagine he does if he went for the Lucian with the Culling Strike, the Misfortune is definitely the more threatening of those two champions.
Yeah, and looks like... Oh, no, all right, we are going to challenge the Misfortune. So it will, if we do challenge Misfortune, it will trade at least with the Lorette Protege, but I gotta say Storm is probably in control here moving forward in this game. Curious to see what else Storm has in hand as well, but if we, by the time turn 8 rolls around, if we're not trying to put together lethal on the side of Sujukhan, I'm not sure Sujukhan will be able to come back, because if something like Riptide Rex does come down, that is going to spell disaster for Sujukhan.
Storm is in an okay spot if he doesn't die right here to a leveled Misfortune. But I mean, even without a board, Cytherea and Genevieve as a pairing are just pretty effective. Genevieve, I mean, only taking out 2 units is really not the value that you want to get out of her when you do have... This is puzzling to me, to say the least.
And looks like we'll probably get a pass and the turn. I don't see why you wouldn't want to go ahead and bank that 3 spell mana. Okay, well, that bar's actually going fast. All right, I was gonna say, I always get concerned when the timer goes fast, like somebody disconnected or something. But
do you fire off the Relentless Pursuit? I mean, you have the open attacks on the following turn. It's just a matter of, do you want to get these attacks off while your opponent is only at 1 mana? You do still have to consider Ravenous Flock, but you only have to consider Ravenous Flock at this point. And now the Keg does make Death's Hand a viable option for killing the Misfortune as well.
Yeah, and this is way too wide of a field. This is way too wide of a field for Sujukhan right now. Even if we get something crazy with the Relentless Pursuit, if we're able to... I mean, we could summon the Hired Gun, we could summon the Laurent Protege, Relentless, get some good challenge trades off. This is way too wide of a board, I think, for Sujukhan.
This is a leveled Misfortune.
Oh, is this the 4th attack?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
That's why the Relentless Pursuit last turn was so enticing. You would have gotten to level the MF on your opponent's turn. Then you go into the turn, especially because your opponent had a 1 health unit. You get to attack with that Genevieve, kill that Petty Officer, attack again, kill another unit, then go into your turn, open attack with the Genevieve, kill a unit, and push just, 10 damage over the course of the 4 attacks with the Misfortune ability and nothing else. Say Ranger's Resolve stolen away does mean that no additional damage will be pushed through onto the units from the MF ability, as it is 3 instances of 1 damage.
Yeah, that feels a little bad. But we have a huge Relentless Pursuit about to come in, and we're going to get another trigger of Misfortune's ability, it looks like. Let's see if that is the route that Sujukhan decides to go. This is going to be Are we just going to go with the Cytherea?
I feel like you have to Relentless Pursuit this turn, because if Storm opens with a Riptide Rex, you're never getting through that last 9 points of damage. If you can at least get down a lot of damage onto your opponent this turn, you do have that last copy of Misfortune in your hand.
Wow, okay, so if there's... I think Sujukhan just committing to, okay, either there's Riptide or there's not. If there's Riptide, I just lose. Yeah, I don't... I don't know.
My sort of problem was I don't know if you lost
We have Sharp Sight.
to Riptide. I don't know if you lost to Riptide if you did Relentless Pursuit, just because Storm would have to offer up so many blockers.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to why we didn't Relentless that turn. Like, it seemed like a no-brainer to get it. Like, I feel like whenever you have a chance to level up an MF and get 2 attacks off, you take it. like that doesn't happen every day. We actually have another MF in hand. God, I feel like we almost never see a leveled MF in hand. I feel like
I feel like this Relentless Pursuit was missed out on. I think that playing it when Storm was down to 1 mana and had the keg was probably your best case scenario, especially because you're not leveling the MF on the open attack. Ravenous Flock does still sort of take you out of the game, and now we are going to fall down to 1 life, but our opponent has a warning shot in hand, so that is actually just going to be lethal. Yeah, I feel like Sujikon, this one was in his control and just waited for that perfect moment for the Relentless Pursuit, and unfortunately it came when you were in the ground.
Yeah, I got to agree. I really think Sujikon slipped up there. Should have just played the Relentless, and so many times we've seen things like Relentless, Ruination just not played at the most opportune times.
Even ignoring the Relentless, he didn't develop before he attacked for his actual turn with the Misfortune and the Genevieve. So it felt like he had the Relentless as something he wanted to do that turn, and then the Ranger's Resolve just kind of shut him off of it, and that does mean that he is going to be losing game number 2.
Yeah, but what that does mean for us is we get a 3rd game now between Storm and Sujikon. So, more quality Legends of Runeterra tournament content coming right at you. So we'll see who is able to get the better of their opponent here in Game 3. Storm versus Sujikon for the top 8. And as of right now, the winner of this game will take on the winner of Guardia and Zeramis. So this is a pretty stacked top 8 so far. We also have Papichema beat out Zinc, which we saw earlier. And it says Bruised by God is still in the tournament. It says Bruised by God 2-0'd Green Sears.
That's just BBG now.
This is just like, and now BBG's
playing
Papichema. Jesus, what is going on? I don't know what happened. That's weird.
Smash GG has kicked the Black Boss out of the tournament, turned him into BBG.
Possibly. I'm gonna try to get an answer. So
Sujikon played a Jagged Butcher, and then Storm responded with a warning shot Jagged Butcher. And now Sujikon just has to take this 3 damage and actually doesn't have anything in his hand capable of contesting this Butcher until, maybe we make an inefficient trade with our Laurent protege.
And, all right, we are going to get the Merchant, so we are going to get some of this NAB engine going.
Perfect opener, at least on the first 2 turns for Storm.
Not bad for Sujikon either, though. This is a pretty wide field already of units that cannot be killed with something like Make It Rain as well. So this is pretty good. We also can't get something like a Keg and Make It Rain down on this same turn. So these units will stick. And we'll see what Storm decides to do here. I mean, on turn... Let's see. On turn 3, I imagine Petty Officer is an option. Oh, wow. Actually get a reduced cost Island Navigator with the Black Market Merchant. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, that offers a pretty wide field of blockers for the time being. The Star Shepherd, probably not the best that you want with... anything with 0 attack with Island Navigator kind of feels bad, unfortunately. But this is going to push through additional damage. A 2-4 into this field right now of a bunch of 2-2s is actually going to do a fair amount of work. All right, so in chat, let me just get verified. So
yeah, that is verified.
That is verified. So Black Boss changed cards between game 2 and 3, which he shouldn't have done, I guess. Wait, what was the mess up in the sideboarding?
Are you not allowed to side deck between games 2 and 3?
Yeah, wait, was that a thing? Because if...
Do you think, I mean, all right, so as dumb as this sounds, I didn't read the rules. I was under the impression that I knew how side decking worked.
Yeah, me too. Hold on.
Why?
Yeah, that's what... That does not that's so Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering would be,
and literally every other card game on the planet. Why?
Yeah.
Why do we have that
You
rule?
cannot make changes between games 2 and 3. Yeah, it's
I mean,
in the rules.
I know that you and I had talked a lot about how generally people aren't siding between games 2 and 3 because those side deck considerations in other card games happen depending on whether or not you're going first or second. But I don't know why we didn't, like, why have that rule?
So
I literally can't fathom
So
it.
first off, for anybody who is questioning the rules and stuff right now, so the rules are up on all of the information for the tournament is generally up on Smash GG. So it's they are there, okay. But I'm telling you right now, I guarantee there's a lot of people that played the tournament today that were not aware of that rule because we were not aware of that rule. So I'm curious to see how many people accidentally did that. But I don't know. What do you, I don't know. I prefer being able to side deck between each game. I don't think it really adds or detracts too much from.
Yeah, I just don't really understand,
Yeah.
like, when you're sitting down talking about the rules that you're going to do out and you're like, okay, you can't side, like, it doesn't, that's weird. But back to the game at hand, we are going to see a Gangplank level. No keg on the board to make it so that it does sort of destroy the entire board of Sudrakhan, who I think had a Ranger's Resolve in hand anyway, who now going to be able to get down to Cytherea the Bold. And it's great that he has two because this first one is going to contest the Gangplank, just, kind of get a clean trade on that one. Then you get the second one to actually throw things down. We do see a keg, so we are going to get to see the Gangplank try to take out most of the board.
Yeah, and it looks like so Storm. Ever since we're able to get that Island Navigator, just really been able to stuff up this board so that Sudrakhan cannot push through with this damage here, and gonna get a lot of good trades because of it. I mean, honestly, I don't think Storm minds losing. Oh wow, never mind. Did not realize Ranger's Resolve was a thing in hand. That is insane. Oh wait, is this a 2? Never mind, doesn't matter. It's
a 2 damage keg, but that does still mean that everything's going to survive.
Yeah. Everything survives the keg.
Yeah, and then we'll die in combat.
But then it dies in combat. So that just means that everything trades now. So it still does a lot to kind of prevent this Gangplank from going off and getting the most value it could. But God, that feels bad. Even playing the Ranger's Resolve, you are still losing absolutely everything on your field. And I mean, I will say, Sudrakhan, as far as cards are concerned in the deck, has two of the better ones to have late in the game, for sure. So it is good to see the Grizzled Ranger and the Cytherea in hand. He will still be able to put pressure on the next couple of turns. The problem is, as we get later on in the game, Storm's top decks are far better than Sudrakhan's top deck. So it's really going to come down to, does Storm find something like another Gangplank?
Yeah, Gangplank number 2 is rough.
And that's probably going to be it.
Even loses the Grizzled Ranger and the Misfortune. So I was about to ask how close that was to leveling up, as that is sort of the one thing that could get him back in this. But no, actually, yeah, we'll just die on the Gangplank attack on the following turn as another keg will be generated.
Wow. And Sudrakhan taking the L there, unfortunately. And yeah, so that means with Black Boss's DQ, again, Black Boss was DQ'd because the rules of the tournament state you cannot side deck between games 2 and 3, only between games 1 and 2, and Black Boss, I should say, accidentally did the opposite and did side deck between games 2 and 3. Was honorable about it. Was did come clean and say that he accidentally side decked and therefore was DQ'd. So Bruised by God is now, that means, in the semifinals playing Papichema. All right, and that's gonna wrap it up. Papichema making it to the top 4, and his opponent is going to end up being none other than BBG. So make sure you subscribe, turn on that bell so that you get notified when that game does go up. And as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.